Okay, so where do you go from here? What's the next step?
Verify.
What was that? Go ahead.
I just had a question, but I kind of forgot it.
Okay, no problem. No problem. Any other questions or anything? We're doing great. So we can get this simple part in there. What if we actually wanted to actually start going to the next level? What's the next level beyond this?
Inventory.
We need to add some inventory, right? Okay, so if we're going to add inventory, guess what we're going to do? We're actually going to leave the invoice and quote section, and we're going to start playing in the PO section. So watch this. This is our goal, general inventory. Okay, we've been currently playing in this little portion right here, invoices, quotes, and special line items through a shopping cart. You kind of see how we were just in that little teeny spot? If this is our goal, guess what we need to do? A vendor needs to create a PO in order to get something into inventory. Okay? And before we just start plunking this stuff in there, this is where more consulting would come in. Okay? Steve, could I actually ask you for just a second? If we're doing consulting and we wanted to actually get some new items in, like some different consulting fees and different things like this, how would you propose it that we set it up?
I start from the homepage.
Okay?
And I click on vendor.
Okay?
And I type in a little bit of the company name.
Okay.
Because we're going to be setting up items that are unique to that, services that are unique to whatever your company is. So that's Denver Training.
Awesome. I was just going to call it, the vendor was going to be called generic items or something.
Okay.
So I did a search and it said, hey, I can't find any vendor there. Okay? Then what would I do?
Add new vendor.
Now, why would this be a generic versus like a vendor-specific item?
Because we're going to add unlimited items that we're going to, or unlimited services that we're going to provide.
Okay. So anything else that I need in here? I have basic, we're going to call it a vendor called generic items. We're just creating them. They're unlimited. We don't owe anybody, so it's not really an important piece that we would need to track. However, if I went and bought something from Home Depot, I might need to have Home Depot in as my vendor so I can eventually pay them. Okay? Okay. What would be next?
Up at the top right, create new PO.
Okay.
And then the PO type is going to be basic live. Location.
I'll just put them under mine right now.
Yeah, so if you're doing specific location, then you have to be careful because like your other locations can't use those items unless you transfer them over to that location or unless you create another PO in that location. So if you do a global, then everybody can use that.
See, he's talking clear back at that world level where we were talking about those settings. Do you want to make it global so like anybody can use anything, or do you want to lock it down so it's just location specific? Okay, and that's just it's a setting. It's literally one little switch.
As an example, the reason that came into play is we used to have a store in Dallas, and we had a store way down south in Beaumont, Texas. And both of those stores could buy from locals trailer parts, but neither one of those stores would ever sell like the parts from those two other locations. They're just so far removed. We didn't want the Dallas store to accidentally put on one of their invoices like a 2-inch drop hitch that came from the Beaumont, where they bought it from another vendor down there. So that's why that separation exists. And if you're running one of the locations, you can see those items when you search for them. But instead of a quantity, there's going to be 3 little dots there. And that basically says, hey, I exist in the system, but you've never had me. That location I've never been in your location. And the way to get it into a location is 2 ways. You can either transfer it to them, and you can transfer a 0 quantity to them, or they need to buy it themselves on a PO, just like what we're doing here. So one thing that's really cool with the duplicate PO, how many locations do you guys have?
About 6.
Okay, so if you're running this specific where you're like, Dan's like, hey, I don't want anybody using any of my items, and we run it specific, then if he wants to share some of his items with somebody else, he could just go back to this PO that's being created and duplicate it, and in the duplication process, it asks you what location. So you can just put the other location and bam, add it. Then both locations can now use those parts or services.
There's lots of cool ways you can play the game if you want to play it. So kind
So, I've got one quick question.
Yes, yes.
A PO doesn't specifically have to be an item, it could be a person too, right?
Okay, correct.
So we went to vendors.
Okay, so let me. Steve, I'm gonna come back to you as far as building this thing. Watch this. Let's say that this is our goal. We want to start getting real life inventory in. Okay, it's in the middle of the map right here. Okay, the only way that it can possibly come in is through this channel. Okay, a vendor needs to be tied to a PO, which eventually creates an item or a placeholder. Okay. The other piece that I really like to show people when we actually do vendors and POs and all that kind of stuff is a little graphic like this, okay? Each item virtually needs its own little can so we can start tracking levels and inventories and stuff like this. These pipes, I like to use these pipes as another little analogy for talking about vendors and POs, okay? Anything coming in is going to come in from this side, okay? Say we're just talking about one little item. The actual pipe is the name of the item, and then you're going to have tons of stuff coming out the other side in like an invoice. So this right here would be one single item. This would be another item. This would be another item. Or if you're doing location specific, I have an item, but it's only located in Dan's spot. It doesn't have one for Brandon's and one for Tommy's or whoever's. Okay? So like, if you can kind of think of things as like each item that you create is like a virtual tube. We load it and we unload it. And then that's how we were able to kind of get back to this is like virtually the placeholder or like a can for those kind of items. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to create a couple different little service items. Steve's going to kind of walk us through this right here. And we're going to create just a couple cans so that we have some unlimited service items. Let me just switch back to the normal drawing tools. So where we're at, just as a recap, we search for vendor. And I'm going to put mine under a vendor called generic items. It's a basic live PO. I assign it to my location. And Steve, what else do we need to do?
Set up services or whatever. Okay. PO amount 0.
Okay.
And actually, I learned something. I did not know this, but if you leave that field blank, it'll fill in 0 for you. I found that out by a customer taught me that. Vendor invoice, I usually put setup in there.
Okay, so why are we doing this? And like, sometimes one of the most confusing pieces is sometimes people think of a PO as it has to be this. Well, what we do is literally it's kind of like a tool, okay? This is an inventory tool. We have 6 different PO types. Update, internal bills, specialized, like tons, and they do different functions. But the PO, it's an inventory tool. It's a way that we can tweak inventory, okay? So go ahead.
On the PO receipt, we want to say yes.
Okay.
So the reason that we're putting 0 in there or leaving that field blank is we're setting up a bunch of labor items, like services that we're going to provide. So like, say, bookkeeping, say, travel, say, whatever, consulting, maybe those 3. And the cost of those in accounting is always 0. So if we were doing a PO for someone we're actually buying items, we would get an invoice for them for like, $500 for all the items we bought. That $500 would go in that PO amount. And then we would add enough line items to the PO to equal the 500. Does that make sense? So we're doing 0 on this one because we're just setting up like what we want to sell.
We're creating those little cans is virtually all we're going to do, okay? So I'm going to say add the PO. It's going to give me a number. I got number 1. Let's go ahead and, I heard the word travel. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so just so you know what I was going to search from up here, I just want to orient you. PO line items. I know that I'm in PO number 1. I'm creating an item now. It's tied to a vendor called generic, and this is the rest of the page, okay? I just chose to use this top part by searching for an item. I'm going to search for it. This error message says, hey, I can't find it. Steve, what would you do here?
Add new part number, which part number is dynamic, so you can change that to whatever you want to call your items or services or whatever.
Okay, I put it in under travel.
Yep, and then the service type is going to be unlimited inventory.
Okay. And then we don't have a whole lot of categories set up yet, but we'll just put it under basic right now. We can show you how to do that. And then what do you want to put here for this?
Hourly travel
Okay, perfect. And
Cost is going to be 0, and then let's just say we charge $100 an hour to travel.
okay, so that's going to be set to sale price only, not a markup, because a markup takes cost times the value to create a dynamically moving
And then the
piece.
unit of measurement will be hourly, or hours. Yep. Labor for the tax category, so that's correct. We really won't need anything else there.
Okay, great. So at this point, our PO now has a line item, and we technically have a thing called travel. Okay, so right this second, we could technically put this on an invoice now, and travel would come in at $100 an hour with a description of hourly travel fee.
And just to kind of clarify something too, is when you choose, hit your back button once, Grant. When you choose up at the top that unlimited special services, it says don't monitor quantities. That means inventory quantities. It is going to be monitoring how many times it's been used on an invoice, how many times you sold this item and everything, but it's not going to be tracking like, hey, I'm an inventory. So the other thing that he did too is he hit his back button. I was mentioning earlier that your back button can be your best friend or your worst enemy. In this case, it's your best friend. Instead of having to go search for the next item, it didn't find it, and add it, and then have to fill this form out completely again. All he's got to do is take travel out of there and put in bookkeeping. And change up his little description. Hourly, yep, there you go.
Is that one word or is it 2 words? Is it one? No problem. I should ask Roxanne, huh? Okay, how much are we charging per hour on this?
$35.
Okay, $35 an hour? Okay, per hour, it's labor.
It's all good.
Add it,
Yep. Now we'll have 2 items on the PO,
correct?
so we can just hit our back button again.
Ooh, I like it.
And
Showing you guys some tricks.
Consulting.
And what do we want to call this one?
Consulting.
And how much? 50?
Yeah.
Great. And it's per hour as well?
Yep.
Okay, add the item. Click. So we're still on PO number 1, still tied to that vendor. And look at this. We now have 3 custom items in there that are unlimited. And so we could do some stuff.
The other thing you can start to do too now is you can also start adding your own little my favorite buttons. If you're going to use that item a lot. Are you going to cover that today?
Steve, come on up. Steve, this is perfect.
I'm actually waiting on
Okay.
response here, but you can.
Okay.
Or else pick on.
I haven't really done my cart favorite buttons or my favorite buttons.
Well, let's take it really simple, okay? So what we did is we bailed out of the invoicing section. We're like, oh my goodness, I need to load the system with something. We chose a service, so it doesn't really have a quantity and we're not really tracking payables. But we now have 3 custom items, travel, bookkeeping, and consulting, that we can use. Dan, watch this. Now that those exist, let's do a new invoice, okay? Or a new quote, doesn't make a bit of difference. I'm going to switch this to Brandon's. Okay, how much do we want to sell? What do we want to sell of those new items that we had? Travel, consulting, or...
3 hours of travel.
So watch this. So I'm at the view cart page. I'm at the exact same spot you guys have been at before. I'm going to go like this, TRA. Okay? Search. It found travel. Do I want to... And you said 3 hours? It's literally this easy. I just preloaded the whole thing. It has 3 hours. I can load it into the cart. That
So
easy.
I'll choose client.
Oh, if I wanted to, yeah. Okay, anything else on this particular invoice?
No.
Okay. Literally, it could be this simple. Bam, checkout. Say it's 300 cash or whatever. Continue and create the invoice. You literally are starting to use this part called travel that you just created just as if you were using those other ones that we were doing, other and supplies and labor and all that kind of stuff, okay?
So where were you at when you started on that?
Okay, I jumped a step. I used a thing called the quick search, okay? The quick search is technically a way to quickly get around the system, and once you learn it, it becomes your friend, okay? So watch this. Normally, here's what we were doing. go home, click on one of the start cart type things. We started the cart, we made sure it's good to go, we said start the cart, and we ended up in this thing called view cart, right? So that was 4 steps. Watch this. I'm going to clear this, and I'm going to go to any page. So say I'm on just some random page. What I did was I went like this. I said invoice, and I typed in this little keyword called new from any page. And watch this. I'm going to hit go. It just kind of prompts me for my information. Boom. I'm right there into the view cart page.
So new, is that just a term that we...
Okay, so check this out. Any page you were on, if you go to the help file, there's a little thing that says Adilas Quick Search Help. It's its own little page. And it basically goes down and says, hey, here's how things are structured within the system. And if you wanted to learn about invoices or shopping carts, you scroll down. Okay, these are 4 items that have been sold or transferred. Search values are numeric. It'll take you right to the invoice. New, which will start a new one. Last, what's the last one that you created? ADV, which will take you to the advanced search. Home, all, and then a general alpha search type thing, okay? So like once you learn how to use that, you can technically search the system from anywhere. So watch this right here for just a quick second, just to kind of talk about the quick search. I'm just going to back up so I'm on this page. I'm currently on the view cart page. So here's one of the options that it had. All. I got 17 invoices, okay? Another one was ADV. It's going to take me right to the advanced invoice search, okay? Another one was a generic, and I think Dan put one in there for taco. Okay, there's Paco Tacos. I just invoice TAC. You know, like I can get this stuff really, really quick. If I know an exact number, say I type in 12, what are you expecting?
Invoice 12.
Boom, right on invoice 12. Okay, like literally, once you learn how to use the quick search, you can jump anywhere. That's just in invoices. You can do that with customers and quotes and POs and expenses. Like the quick search, this young man right here, David, what we had, this is kind of some history, okay? So on the classic homepage, you see this little thing that we call the quick search here? Well, he used to do tons of this, but every single time he used it, he had to return to the main homepage. And he's like, man, I really wish that I could have that like quicker access. And so what we did is we built it into every page. So watch this. This is called the full version right here. We don't have a whole bunch of permissions turned on, but on any other page, we put the exact same thing in a mini version right here from any page, okay? If I wanted to say, quote, 3, no, actually let's go 5 because this is the one that Joe originally made. Clowns on us, Joe, here's quote 3, okay? Like you're able to jump all over the place. It's called the quick search, and there's a special help file. Any page, go help, and then Atlas Quick Search Help, and then it'll kind of give you a graphic on like, here's the different versions of it, and what do you want to do? You want to do balance sheets or this or this or this or flex grids, or like it tells you all these different little pieces how you can search them. It's very, very powerful.
That's a light bulb right there.
Yeah.
That's just a light bulb.
Yeah.
It really does make everything connect.
Show them how to open up a new tab. Quick search
Okay.
is my favorite.
Okay, great. So because we're using a browser, we didn't develop this, okay? We're riding on top of Google Chrome and Internet Explorer and Firefox. Watch this. I have multiple tabs open right here. This one has a little gallery open because I knew I was going to come back to it. This one had another little huge map. This one had the page that I was actually working on. If you want to do it in a new tab, there's a couple different ways. You can either go Control and click. Say I wanted a chooser up, okay? Control, click. Look at this. I just now have a 4th tab up here, and now I have a chooser page, okay? That's one way to do it. If you'd like to, you can also do this. Say I wanted to, say, right-click and say Open in Tab, Open in New Window. If I'm on a link, those are slick ways to do that, okay? Say I want to say Open in a New Window. This is completely different than a tab. Now look at, I actually have physical different windows that I can switch between. Okay, this is very handy if you have multiple monitors, okay? Instead of using tabs, like you...
I'm a toddler.
Yep. So if she's a toddler, she's doing this kind of stuff right here. She's bouncing between them, okay? And then she's kind of going back and forth. That's called toggling, okay? But basically, What I do is I have multiple monitors set up, and I have this over here, and I have my online bank statement over here, and I'm reconciling. And you can play the game however you want to. It's very fun in that way, and it's very flexible. Once again, it's virtually built on a one-to-many relationship, but this is one browser or one person having multiple connections to the server. Okay, so it's kind of fun how you can play. That was a great comment. Okay, I'm right back here. We were putting in. Let's see. So I have a brand new cart started here. I must have typed in new cart or something like this. Watch this. Let's do all of our items. And I'm actually going to limit this just a little bit by the category. Check this out. So say I wanted to give all of these different little custom ones we just did. I could literally hammer them in like this. Okay, Roxanne, how much are we charging this person for bookkeeping? How many hours?
4.
4 hours. Are we doing any consulting for them?
2.
Okay. Are we doing any travel time for them?
Probably 2.
2 hours on that? Click add. Okay, we just built our whole cart with all of the custom descriptions, all of the custom pricings, piece of cake. Okay, you're loading the system. You're starting to load the system. Okay, it can be that simple. If we wanted to check this out, we'll choose a client, and lots of times you guys have been entering new ones. We know that there are something that has clowns. Okay, clowns are us. Assign that to the cart. I don't even have to recreate it. It already exists. I can start using it over and over and over again. Okay. Boom. We just say checkout. I'm going to put that on account, so he's going to owe me $440. Continue. If I go to Clowns R Us, watch this right here, and I actually go to his log file, he currently owes me $26,000. That's because we had gold-plated balls on that thing. But the cool thing is if I click on this, it'll physically tell me like which invoices or what and how things are located, if that makes sense. So. Anyway, just kind of some fun little pieces of the puzzle. I actually haven't created that last invoice. Let me, I went checkout and I went on account and I hit continue. I'm used to it skipping this step, so I actually didn't create that next one. Watch this, I forgot to do that last little piece. Create invoice. Now if I actually go to Clowns R Us, he's going to owe me more than the original 26. I was looking for that other one. I was like, where is it? I didn't actually finish the whole. So now he's 26.4, okay, with 2 different invoices. One's 16, one's 18. Those are their physical numbers, but that's how things start working. So I don't personally like the review. Watch this. I'm going to change a setting, okay? Home. I'm going to go to my Manage Corp-Wide Settings, and I'm going to say, let's get into there. And I actually, this is another cool browser feature. Watch this. What if I had a built-in search feature right within this page? And I was like, you know what? I want to actually go checkout, okay? Checkout options, okay? So this is a search feature that did it right within my page. It's just using a browser. And now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say the review. It's right here. I don't want the review anymore, and I'm going to come down and hit Save Settings. So now if I create a new invoice, watch this. I'm going to start a completely different way. I don't have any cart created, but I'm going to go like this. Let's go find some travel. Okay, how many of these do I want to add? Shannon, give me a number.
7.
7, still at 100?
No, 75.
Okay, 7 to 75, no problem. And we're going to say add it to the cart. Boop. We started from the parts instead of starting from the cart. You can start from all sorts of different ways and levels and areas. Okay, the quick search will end up being a huge friend to you when you're ready for it. Like you can use it for virtually anything. If you don't like the little links right here, like choose a client link, which we've done tons, watch this. What if I actually said client and say I did the same thing? Go find Clowns R Us and I went to their log. Here's a little button right now. Oh, perfect. That's the same one. Assign that to the cart. There are so many different ways around the puzzle. Like, I'm not trying to scare you, but I'm just trying to show, once you learn your flow, you'll be like, okay, in order for this thing to finally go out the door, I have to add a line item, I have to figure out a payment, and I may or may not add a customer, depending, okay? And then you can just add those pieces whenever you wanted to do that. Okay.
What did you do to get the search the page?
Okay, Control F, it's a built-in browser function, okay?
Sorry.
So I'm right here I'm currently on the View Cart page, and if I go Control F, it's still thinking I'm looking for checkout. It found the word checkout 2 times. But if I wanted to do something, okay, how many times? It found client 5 different times, and it highlighted it for me, okay? This is very handy. Say you're searching for like a check number, and you've got a whole list of stuff up. Instead of like trying to detail it down, Control F, 55777, okay? And it'll go right to the spot. Oh, there it is. Like, it's very, very handy. That's built into the browser. Built into the browser. Awesome.